Just a nice cold start to start off the morning, guys. We got a new microphone. Hopefully it sounds good. We are driving down to meet one of my new friends here that has an amazing STI. So let's get driving and yeah. What's up, guys? We got the new mic. Hopefully it's not too windy, but welcome back to WRX Garage. Here's my WRX, and here's probably one of the most badass STIs I've seen. This is a fully track purpose build STI, my buddy Trey's car. And we're gonna be diving into what he has on it, the reasons he has a couple pretty unique configurations of a couple different things, and then of course we're gonna take it for a quick drive and see how it sounds. So yeah, let's just dive right in. As you guys know, I'm going to be tracking my car in April, and on a Facebook group, this guy's been answering all of my really annoying questions.
Oh, I can't wait to see how you do.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, so I guess let me flip the camera around here. Do you want to just tell us about what car this is? When did you get it? And when did you, how did you decide some of the things you have in the car?
Yeah, so it's a 2020 STI. I got it in November of 2019. And I got it with the intention on tracking it. I didn't really think about how hard I was going to go in the paint with tracking it. So I mean, some of the things that I've got, I probably wouldn't have done again, like the subwoofer that I have installed. Not really necessary.
Yeah.
I'm getting more and more to where I don't drive it on the street, and it's more kind of evolved into just being a track rat, really. It's got full bolt-ons at this point, ethanol, of course. Some of the things that I thought were really important, though, it was reliability, right? And STIs aren't really known for reliability on the track. So a lot of the modifications that I have on here were for that, of course, and AOS, which is pretty straightforward. But equal length headers was a big one. I caught a lot of flack for that because you get rid of the Subi rumble, but realistically it's not good for high-end power or the top end of the RPM range. And you also just generate more heat on one side of the engine, so I made sure to go ahead and change that out.
So when you go equal length, do you still have to do like the cylinder 4 cooling mod?
You don't have to, but I did anyways.
Gotcha.
And I don't really know if it really makes that big of a difference, but I figured it's not gonna hurt anything. And I think just running ethanol in general, it's really difficult to make a vehicle knock, especially if you're on a high ethanol content. So the tune was a big deal. I went to Harvey at the Boost Creek up in the Longmont or Boulder area. Longmont, yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about Boost Creek.
He does great work. And the tune is, he knows that it's a track car, so it's set up to where if my coolant temperatures go over a certain temperature, it's going to pull all duty cycles, and it'll just like die on me on the track, just to prevent me from overheating and warping the heads and having head gasket issues and stuff like that. So with the latest tune that happened just this last year, I've got a new turbo. It's the Blausch Dominator 1.5 XTR. So I went from making with full bolt-ons on E85, it was at like 295 to the wheels at 4,400 RPM, to now I'm making 400 wheel horsepower all the way up to redline, and we've got it capped at 7K. So, but some of the things, other things that we had done was like these coilovers are the Feel Road Race, the 441s. So it's a one-way adjustable coilover, and again, I caught a lot of flack from the internets because of the configuration I've got, because they're angled diagonally towards the center of the car, and the intention or purpose for that is for more caster. So when you steer the wheel, if you have more caster, you end up earning more negative camber or positive camber on depending on which side of the car, which direction you're turning. And
it helps with snapping the wheel back to center too, right?
Yeah, it'll help with that as well. So the thought was, it'll be better for straight lines, and when I turn the wheel, it'll earn me that more negative camber, so help me kind of with turning and stuff like that. I will say, the first time I tracked it, I was on factory suspension with the stock spec alignment. Going with these Feel coilovers and just getting a proper alignment earned me many seconds worth of time, and it was much more confident driving the car to the limit. Had a lot more grip, better turn in, and it wasn't too much. Like I don't feel like I've ever got to the point where I'm really whipping out the rear, but I mean, it was possible for power oversteer, and that was even before the new turbo, which brings me to all sorts of other things that I'm gonna have to do to get the power down, which I'm getting a lot of shit from my friends about a rear differential.
Yeah,
because I'm not gonna be able to put the power down. They don't think coming up hills and stuff, especially on hard turns.
So you went with the Feel suspension. What else have you done with suspension?
So I just have the Voodoo 13 lower control arms in the rear. It's a spherical control arm, and you get like an extra inch to an inch and a half worth of travel in the rear suspension, which is good.
Interesting.
And I kind of needed it after adding the Feel, just in order to get a proper alignment. Like, you need that extra adjustment. So I'm hoping that those will get me to, right now it's at -2 in the rear and -3 up front. This next year I am going to rotate those fronts to more of a normal type configuration, and I'm going to aim between 4 and 5 negative up front and -3 in the rear, and I'll be towing this to the track because I don't want to ruin all my tires with that type of alignment, you know.
Just to give you guys context about those power numbers that we talked about earlier. So those power numbers, this car making 400 and my car making 400 are two very different things. That's because my 400 is normalized to sea level values. This car was dyno tuned at 400 at altitude. Right, again, we have 13% less oxygen up here, or around 5,000, 6,000 feet up here. And so with his dyno tune, his was dyno tuned up here, which means that this car is absolutely making more power than my car. So right now, my car, you know, it dyno tuned 405 to the wheels, 385 torque. Again, those numbers are normalized to sea level. So actually up here with less oxygen, my car is probably making around 375, 380 to the wheels, maybe a little bit less. So just keep that in mind, guys.
Some other things that have been done on here, I'm running G-Lock R12 pads. I did run the R10s prior, but I was generating enough heat that they were kind of cracking and falling apart. So I did go with the R12s. They're a little better with handling heat, and they do not fade. So I found that the factory pads, factory brake setup, you do a couple laps and it does start to fade. You'll notice like it gets just a little spongy. It wasn't boiling the brakes or the fluid once I put new fluid in. But I have that, and then I've got the Veris Engineering brake cooling ducts that come kind of through there. You can't see it from the rotor side of things because it is behind it, but it does blast quite a bit of air and helps cool things down between corners, when you're on the straights. And something else I've got on here is I'm running the PFC. It's a 2-piece rotor. It's a little different than what most people see when they look at a 2-piece rotor, because a lot of times you see a bunch of little bolts and you have to torque all those down independently. This one uses like a ring, almost as a retention ring that just kind of snaps onto the inside. When you drive it, it'll sound like the car's brakes are about to fall apart. It does sound like there's Coke cans in there because they are fully floating rotors. The whole point of that is just reduced weight, which there's about 8 or 9 pounds reduced on both of the fronts. Just from the rotors alone, which really helps with everything from steering to braking to straight line speed. You're putting more power down because you're rotating less mass, right?
Unsprung weight.
Yep, exactly. So that was another thing that I had ended up adding, and then there's a big weight reduction going with just different wheels. So these Advans again weigh about 8 pounds less at each corner, because I think the factories they're 28 pounds each. Those factory 19s. So this was a big deal. And then I've got a second set of wheels that I'm going to be running this year.
And these are 18s, right?
These are all, these are 18s. And my second set are 18s as well. It's going to be the Titan 7s.
Nice.
I went with those because they are fully forged, and I did bend one of these last year, which isn't a huge deal. You can get them bent back, which I learned. I didn't realize you could do that. Otherwise, I thought I was going to spend another $500 replacing a wheel, which just didn't sound great.
So one thing that you were telling me was that you need to have a good balance between what track pad you choose and what kind of tire compound, because you said that you can either outbrake the tires or you can have too much grip on the tires compared to what pads you're running, right?
Correct. So with these R12s now, and I'm running these BFGs, it's a street tire. If you drive it and you smash on those brakes, you will initiate ABS because the brake pads are going to be stronger than what the tires have grip. But if I swap to my AO52s, the Yokohamas, you slam on the brakes and you have at least a good contact surface, you probably won't initiate ABS. And that was one of the biggest things to learn when starting to track, is learning how to brake hard and brake later and later, because everybody can floor it, you know, between lights. Everybody knows what that feels like, and no one's scared to floor it. But when you're doing 120 miles an hour, everyone wants to drag the brakes the first couple times, right? But being able to just wait until that right marker and then just stand on the brakes I think was the wildest experience. And you are going to be pulling more G's with the brakes than you do from acceleration. From acceleration, yeah. So it's a crazy feeling, just feeling, you know, the G's pull your neck down and stuff as you're trying to prepare for your next turn, you know. But that's a consideration to make, you know. But if you're getting real serious about tracking and stuff, you're going to be getting better tires anyways. So, but I think I'm going to stick with this R12 compound pad versus going up to the 14s or 16s, just because it's a good balance for what I've got, especially because of the brake cooling ducts. If I ran a R16, it requires more temperature to be in it before they're actually effective and working optimally. And I think those brake cooling ducts are probably going to prevent that from happening, especially with little short stints on the track. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Cool. Anything inside the car noteworthy? Still running the stock seats? And...
So yeah, if you want to sit in it real quick. I do have aftermarket seats, but in the wintertime I decided to not run them. So when I'm driving, I've got a couple different gauges that I've added. I've got my oil pressure here, which is a big deal. You want to make sure that your oil pressures aren't going down, because you're gonna have a really bad day if you lose oil pressure on the track. And my oil temperature sensor here. I haven't really had any issues with oil temperatures this year. I do have an oil cooler, but it is nice to just be able to keep an eye on it, and the STI doesn't come with those things. I think that you're probably better off in the WRX as far as sensors and stuff like that. I do run my access port, which with that I'm monitoring for the dam, feedback knock, as well as coolant temperatures. And I have to keep an eye on that. My first event last year, I was not smart. It was my first ever event competitively, and I lap for lap for lap, just 100% flooring it, and I was getting tons of feedback knock. The dam went all the way down to like 0.1 or whatever, and it comes out, I just let my coolant get way too hot, so it was pulling timing everywhere. So I'm much better about keeping an eye on that. And like I said earlier, if it happens, if I go over 230 degrees for my coolant, the tune pulls all that timing anyways, so that's great.
Maybe that's something I should talk to my tuner about.
Yeah, I mean, I do have two tunes. I have what's in it right now is the street tune, so it wouldn't do that, and then I have the track tune. The other thing that's really interesting is down here. Because I'm a terrible driver, and I'm not really good at heel toe shifting, especially with this pedal setup, I've got the auto blip system, which you'll like that. When we get started, because you just mash the brake and put the clutch in, and then you can adjust with a delay timer and a duration timer how long and how delayed it blips that throttle for you. And the reason I went with that wasn't so much to be faster, but I really wanted to protect the transmission. I noticed that just throwing it into gear, I was worried about wearing on my synchros and stuff like that. So was a pretty easy, straightforward installation. This auto blip does not like gas pedals that are after. I
think I saw that on your video.
Yeah, after 2015. So I did have to source a 2015 WRX or STI gas pedal.
And it had to do with the voltage,
I believe so,
on the connection, right?
Yeah. Because the voltage ranges that this is looking for is not as much. They are working on a newer version that can be more agnostic and work with that, but this thing is great. I don't worry about it anymore. I tried to heel toe shift, and I noticed I did go faster just because of this, because I'm not so worried about rev matching. I can just bang the gears and go, go, go. You know what I mean? So cool. That's it. That's all that's in here.
Awesome. So I guess we'll finally let you guys actually see what it sounds like, and then we'll go for a quick drive. So you guys heard my cold start this morning. Let's hear this one. Oh yeah.
ready?
Oh yeah.
So you'll see too, I'm full on the brake right now. And watch, I'll just press the clutch. I'm not touching the throttle.
That's really cool.
You can see the lights will change. There's the brake.
Yep.
Brake with clutch, and then you'll see the blip light come on.
Oh, you have to. That's gonna take some getting used to.
Yeah, it does. I mean, but there's a button you just turn right off.
Oh, okay.
Like,
cool.
If for you, when you drive it, I'll turn it off just so it doesn't. It's not weird or. And I've got this rolling, by the way. I'll give you the.
Cool.
So you hear the brakes?
Yeah. Yeah, it's clunky.
Yep. And the R12 pads are really, really loud.
Oh yeah, dude.
Isn't that weird?
So my suspension is really clunky right now because it's raised up so much that the sway bars are just clanking around.
Okay.
So it's just not the right angle for them because it's like rotating and spinning. And then there's also something funky with my coilovers, but oh yeah.
We'll flash it for this Porsche here. There's the brakes.
Oh my dude. My car does not do that. My car does not do that. Oh my god.
We gotta find a spot we can do a little launch.
You guys probably saw that on my face. There was a little bit of fear in there.
Sorry.
No, that's good, dude. Oh my gosh, those wastegates sound amazing too. It's really like not obnoxiously loud. That's something that like we've talked about on the channel a lot, where people just straight pipe their cars and it's just like, why? It's just, yeah.
I'm too excited. I didn't turn off traction control. And yep. Those tires fucking lit up and traction control completely stopped us.
The down ramp was a little wet too. That just sounds amazing.
So that was 80.
Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
Hear it fucking pop?
Yeah, dude, it hits you in the chest. That's nuts. I think I'm definitely gonna have to go STI transmission at some point soon and just I don't know, drop 13K on a IAG 600 block for the FA20 because they do the long blocks now.
They do.
But
this is still a factory stock block.
Yeah.
That's about. I mean, the turbo is worth more power than it's putting out right now.
Yeah.
We deliberately kind of took it easy. But my tuner seems to think that we should be able to make 450 and 480 as it is right now.
Oh man, it's probably a good thing you don't daily drive this, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not. I mean, it costs too much with gas these days.
Oh yeah, that's true.
She's getting in town like 12 miles an gallon. On the freeway, I can probably get away with like 18 or so. But
what amount of ethanol are you running?
Right now, I think I've got like 75 in here.
Okay.
It'll take whatever you give it. Anything over 70 though is just diminishing returns.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to make more power.
The high pressure fuel pump?
I do have a high pressure fuel pump, and I've got the 1050X injectors.
Yep.
Just to make that extra power. Right?
So this car is an absolute monster, guys. It sounds amazing. It drives amazing. He has the car set up reliably. It's really like the epitome of what I would consider a car that's for the track. A lot of you guys in the comments are going to say, well, obviously because it's an STI, this car is definitely going to have some advantages over mine, specifically in power. The transmission is going to be stronger, but driver mod is going to be the biggest thing. And I'm really excited to get out onto the track and really start learning from Trey and a bunch of the other guys. So super excited. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed this video. Trey is also starting his own YouTube channel, which is The Flying Lap. I'm gonna link it down below. Please go check it out because he's gonna be doing very much track videos on the SCCA time trials and all of that stuff. He's going to Grid Life at some point. So if you guys like that kind of thing, make sure you go check his videos out because they're gonna be absolutely amazing. So.
Yeah, we've just got a teaser video up for now. Next video is going to be next month. We're doing an interview with the director that runs the time trials for SCCA.
Awesome.
We'll cover a little bit of last season. We'll break everything down on what is time attack, how does it all work, indexing, classing, and kind of just some projections or thoughts on what the outcomes will be for this season. And then a typical episode, I'm hoping for driver interviews. We'll do some vehicle spotlights. We'll probably cover you at some point. And then we'll be cool. Tracking times, and seeing how you improve yourself and how you stack up against other drivers with similar cars or crazy 650 horsepower BMWs.
Yeah, I'm for the first month, and we talked about this a lot actually, I'm gonna be focusing on me and not comparing myself. I'm only gonna be comparing my times to my own times until I really get used to track driving, because I'm going into it with no ego, knowing that I have a ton to learn. So
that's the way to be. That is the way to be.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, dude. I can't wait to see what this thing does on the track. I might do a couple of videos for you guys sitting in the passenger seat, probably shitting my brains out. Just, I'm gonna have to wear some extra deodorant on the track days. But thank you guys so much for watching. This has been an awesome video. If you guys like this kind of video where we talk about other people's cars and go over, what kind of things they've done, what unique parameters they have on their car, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that like button. Leave some comments down below if you want to see these two race, because you probably will at some point. So cool. Thanks you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Peace.